Hello, you are listening to and are watching our podcast called Wormhole Pinball Presents. And today I'm joined by editor and author of the Kineticist and This Week in Pinball, Colin Alsheimer. Am I saying that right? Alsheimer, right?
Alsheimer.
Alsheimer.
Yeah, it's very, very close. I'm very used to mispronunciations.
Well, my last name is Birchall, and I get
Yeah,
Burkle,
it's like
Burkell,
as long as you
Burchell.
get like within the realm of possibility, it's fine.
No, it's got to be right.
Yeah.
It's got to be right. So welcome to the Wormhole virtually, Colin. How are you?
Thank you. Doing very well. Excited to be here. Wish I could be there in person because I see pictures of your collection all the time, and I'm so jealous of it.
Well, it is.
I wish it was a lot closer.
It is. It's just going to get bigger too. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But it's just, it's a labor of love. This place, and it takes a village.
Yeah. No, it's super cool. I've been following your progress for a while.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And I wanted to start it out really by thanking you for the recent mini documentary that Donovan
Oh yeah, of
filmed.
course.
Uh, with Clint Warren and Travis Mosman about upgrading an original Magic Girl.
Yeah.
So they filmed this. It's their first documentary, so cut them some slack, guys. Okay, the audio's not perfect, but it was really cool to see Tim's Magic Girl get upgraded like that. And thanks for putting it on
Play.
this week in
Have you have
pinball.
you have you got some time on it?
Not since the upgrade. No, I got to play we unboxed it
Mhm.
when it came from the museum, and there wasn't much to it, but it was the art. You could see that it was beautiful,
Yeah.
and this was 2 years ago or 3 years ago. When was the Banyan auction? 3 years ago, I think.
Oh yeah,
And
at least I think
yeah,
it was during the pandemic, right?
it was. Yeah,
Yeah.
and so that's where Tim got it
Okay.
from that auction, and then once that documentary came out of the Europeans and what they had done with this, we just said, "Oh my gosh, how cool would that be?" And
Yeah.
then two Aggie techs, two Aggie,
Nice.
two Aggies who have this mechanical engineering design
Mhm.
ideas. They went for it and went from there. Anyway, you could see
That's
it
awesome. Yeah.
on
Yeah.
This Week in Pinball. Sorry, I don't want to dwell on it.
Yeah. It's
But before we talk about pinball, you've been writing for quite some time, Colin. I mean, you even wrote
yeah.
a craft beer blog. I mean, how did that happen?
Yeah. So it's funny. I don't necessarily consider myself a writer, right? It's not
Yeah.
like a vocation that I do. It's not something I'm trained for, but I've done writing kind of throughout my career at various stages. It's sort of something. It's kind of a tool that I have in my personal toolbox, right? And I kind of use it more to accomplish a goal or learn something new or kind of try something new. And so the craft beer blog, the kind of story behind that, much earlier in my career, when I was working at a marketing agency, I had started a couple of side projects with my wife at the time that were more like kind of focused experiments, so we could learn some new things and explore some common interests that we had at the time. So we'd started like a happy hour and a nightlife website called 5 o'clock Dallas. It was really a way for me to learn kind of how to build a website with a popular CMS that we used at my day job. And then after that, we started
What's a
a
CMS?
content management system,
Oh,
so
okay.
like WordPress, or at the time this was on Drupal, which was
Okay, cool.
a big
Sorry.
open source
Sorry.
software. Yeah, no worries. Um, and then we started a music blog after that, kind of as a way to experiment with content marketing and PR in some ways that would be kind of challenging to do for client work that we were doing as we were both working at agencies at the time. Um, and we both really enjoyed exploring bars and restaurants and going to shows, so they kind of accomplished multiple goals. And the craft beer gig at the time, it sort of was an outgrowth of those two projects, where I had met and become friends with a journalist in Dallas who had started his own publication called Central Track. And I was really into the kind of craft beer and home brewing scene at the time. So he had pitched me on doing a kind of weekly series for them where I would go in and review a local craft beer release every week. And so that was, I did that for a couple of years, sort of set the format and the structure for some other writers, and I kind of pulled a lot from that experience that I'm using today.
Wow, that's really cool. I should have had John Spates, one of the other wormholers, on with you because he really got in the craft beer space.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah, it's a crazy scene. Like I was covering it in Dallas when it was really kind of re-emerging in the like early 2010s, I guess. And so some like, I don't know if you're familiar with like Petacolis, Deep Ellum Brewing Company, places like that were sort of my beat at the time, if you
oh,
will.
okay. No, I'm not that I'm not familiar with it. I barely drink. I drink Diet
Yeah,
Coke, right? It's,
yeah.
I drink bourbon. So but
Bourbon's good
John
too.
was really into it. And what's interesting with John now is to segue quickly, uh, off target, sorry, is that John is now an operator,
Okay.
and started operating a few months ago, and it's because of his craft brewing contacts, because he was so
Yeah.
into it,
Yeah.
that he's going to these breweries, and he's got uh 2 or 3 breweries now, I know,
Oh, nice.
where he's got pins there.
Yeah, yeah. It's such a good combination, right? It makes a ton of sense.
A ton of sense. It makes a ton of sense. So sorry, sidebar. That's what I do in my interviews, Colin. You'll get used to it.
Oh,
We're
good.
almost, you'll get used to it. I go all over the place. I can't help it. Did you go to school for writing and communications?
Technically communications. Yeah. So I actually started as a film and photography major for my first couple of years, and then I transitioned into sort of a blended marketing degree when I realized that I wanted to actually have a chance at making money after school.
Well, right. Yeah.
So like writing and communications, it was a big part of both of those programs, whether that be kind of script writing for the film side of things, or just doing like spinning up press releases or blog posts or whatever for the marketing side. So
And you were in college radio?
yeah, I did. So I went to Ithaca College, and they have one of the top college radio stations in the country. So as part of the communication school, it was just something that you could try out and do and sort of volunteer, right, for the college radio station. So I did that for uh, the first part of my freshman year or so. And, I think that's when I realized I preferred written communication to verbal.
That's where I missed my boat, though.
Yeah.
When you go back, because I went to school for communications, and
Okay.
then they canceled the degree my
Oh, no.
freshman year. And
It's-
so,
what
I
a
was like,
what a bummer.
yeah, but then I fell in love with my fraternity and all that crap. So I just
Yeah.
went into business. But you go through it. It's fine.
Yeah.
But I miss my calling. I think I could have been pretty good on the radio.
Yeah, yeah, no, you've got a good voice for it. You've got a good rapport with people. So
I wasn't
that makes
fishing for
sense.
compliments, sorry, but that's just what I wanted to do. And this is kind of like scratching my itch,
Yeah,
right? You
yeah,
know.
oh yeah.
So when did you make the decision to, okay, craft beer, I want to write about my new passion, which is pinball?
Yeah, so I sort of was poking around the edges of the pinball hobby and sort of what I could do with it, what I could contribute to it. Pretty much from the first day I really took a deep dive into the hobby around 2017 or so. I started off really just by like, learning as much as I could, playing as much as I could, kind of learning the ins and outs of the scene, kind of doing some volunteering work with a few local tournament series. Um, and then during the pandemic, I had gone through like a no code development course because I wanted to learn how to build digital things, right? Sort of like
Okay.
the websites that I had done previously, but I can't like write code. I didn't want to go through a full coding program, so I went through this
I'm a recruiter. So what code was it?
no code.
Oh, okay.
That's about it. It's all like visual programming basically.
Cool.
So it's like
Cool.
drag and drop interfaces, things like that. It's a little more sophisticated now than it used to be. But and I'd use pinball, right? My passion for pinball sort of as the inspiration for all my course projects. And then so I launched the first version of the site in about 2022. And I had a lot of reasons for doing it, but really I would say I wanted to kind of make a run at kind of building something of my own after doing a lot of work for other people, for agencies and startups for the last 15 years. I had the passion for pinball. I kind of saw some things in the space that I thought were opportunities or kind of worth exploring. So I remember thinking like, hey, don't like overthink the idea, right? Just sort of like do some of these things that you've done before, building a website, writing content, doing marketing, and just kind of see where it goes. So I built then just kind of a basic WordPress site, and just started writing and building, kind of to establish a habit, sort of build some momentum, get some practice. And then it kind of started getting some traction and taking off from there.
That's awesome. Where does the name Kineticist come from?
Yeah, so it's kind of so it's rooted in the phrase kinetic satisfaction, right? I'm sure you've heard people talk about that when they talk about playing games. I pretty like I can't 100% attribute to him, but I think it was an Elwin quote, or at least that's where I first heard it, where he kind of talked about that as almost like a design philosophy of his. But for me, it kind of perfectly describes the appeal of pinball, right? Where like you see in the hobby, some people they're rules people, they like digging into the code and sort of how the game plays. Some people are competitive or social or collectors. I think that I mostly gravitate towards kind of the feeling of playing the game, right? Especially when you're able to play it well and kind of hit that almost flow state, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when I was thinking of some sort of brand concept that we could build around, I wanted it to sort of encompass that feeling of like playing pinball, or kind of engaging with the pinball community in a positive way, going out and exploring the world through pinball. That's sort of like constant motion activity kind of thing, and still be kind of open-ended enough to where if we wanted to say write about arcade games or something else related to pinball, it would still kind of work in a way where if we had picked like a name like Pinball Central, right? It would be harder to do that. And so Kineticist, I think I came across the word or name while I was combing through like all kinds of name ideas and word ideas and just like doing kind of classic branding exercise stuff. I saw it, it spoke to me. The domain was available, so I just sort of took it and ran with it.
There you go. I like it. It's a great name. I mess it up. My New York accent comes in sometimes.
Yeah,
I
it's
screw it
like
up.
it's hard to pronounce, right? It doesn't like roll off the tongue. Once you get used to it, it's easier. So it's not like if I could do a do-over, I would like to find something that is easier for people to say, but it works for now.
No, it works. It's got its branding. It's got its brand now. It's got
it's distinct.
it is. We haven't really talked about how we got our name Wormhole, but we quarantined here.
Okay.
After quarantine, after like kind of loose, and Texas was a little different, right?
Yeah.
Than most of the country. But there were just 8 of us here, 6 to 8 of us.
Okay.
And we'd get here at like 3 o'clock. And I own a staffing firm. So there was no staffing going on in 2020.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So without PPP funds, we would have lost our business.
Yep.
Colin. And so I was here, because I only needed to put in maybe an hour a day. I mean, it was just to touch base with people. So we came here and I'd get here maybe at 3 in the afternoon. And then at 12 or 1 in the morning, it's time to go home. And I'm like,
Yeah.
and Tim was like, this place is a wormhole. And that was,
Yeah. Nice.
that was it. And,
That's like all it takes, right?
it doesn't make sense, wormhole and pinball, right? But it's just because,
Yeah, but it almost doesn't have to make sense as long as you have a good story behind
yeah,
it, right? And it sounds like you do. So
I think so. I think it's
it's
a
good.
pretty cool story.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how did this week in pinball merger happen? I mean, how did that come about?
Yeah, it's one of those things. I certainly was not planning for it last year, right? So it's kind of right place, right time. So Will Edding had reached out to me pretty early on um, in the Kineticist project about just sort of contributing to TWIP and sort of writing some components of the weekly updates for him, which I was really happy to do as kind of a longtime reader of TWIP, and just for the getting some additional practice reps, and obviously the exposure for Kineticist helped as well. And I think we kept that going for 5 to 6 months. And then around Expo, he approached me about kind of taking it over entirely. I think he had some other things that he wanted to move on to. And I kind of jumped at that opportunity. I enjoyed writing the weekly updates previously, and I thought it would make just kind of a good additive component to some of the stuff we were already doing with Kineticist.
Yeah, that makes sense, right?
Yeah,
It's a makes sense. That merger makes sense, right?
yeah, mm,
So, um, I always go back and I was going to ask you this question about any articles that still resonate with you, because there's still podcasts that and streams that I do that still resonate with me. So, I mean,
yeah.
like, do you say to yourself, "Yeah, that was a good article I just wrote," or
Yeah, sometimes I do. I was gonna actually sort of ask that back, like, what what resonates for you about some of your prior work?
um, so definitely the streams.
Yeah,
They're different because our Monday game streams where we're just fooling around,
yep,
I can say whatever the hell I want,
right,
right? Because it's just us, and I'm letting people into a view of our clubhouse
yep,
on those streams. On tournament games days, I've got that are at the wormhole. I can still be a little goofy and have a little fun.
yep.
So those really resonate with me. But I do love those major tournaments, man. There's something about
Like the
stream
the the larger audience, or like the sort of production required for them,
the
or
production is
okay,
a real pain in my ass, Colin.
yeah,
But
I bet.
if you ever come here, I'll show you just
Yeah,
our little setup and all these things. And it's just
yeah,
amazing the amount of money we spent on it.
yep,
But okay, here's the deal. I'm gonna let you behind the the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain. I have anxiety, and if anything goes wrong on a stream, it blows my mind. It drives me
yep,
bananas.
yep. I
So
agree.
I do everything I can to make sure that OBS doesn't crash, because
Yep,
it's going to crash, by the way. It just
mhm,
does when you watch one of our streams. So I prepare for everything
yeah,
uh, because I can't handle it if something goes wrong. So
totally get it.
do you get it? You
Oh
know,
yeah, no, yeah, I am big about trying to reduce unforced errors,
yeah,
right? I hate that it drives me absolutely insane. Like they're going to happen, and it's okay as long as you can learn from them. But I want to put myself and the people that I work with in a position to succeed and look good. And part of that is sort of minimizing upfront mistakes, right? As
yeah. I
much as
kind of feel like I'm the a little bit of a brand ambassador of the wormhole.
yeah,
And when I look to our first streams, they weren't good enough for how
mhm,
great the place was.
yeah,
So I had to up it. I had to up the game. So I really leaned on looking at IE Pinball, JDL, and
yeah,
all these and Fox Cities and said, okay, guys, what are you doing?
right,
And they were so helpful,
yeah.
you know. because that side of the community, we'll talk about the other side of the community in a second.
Yeah.
Okay? But that side of the community
Yeah.
is so helpful. You know,
Yeah.
the streamers that can,
We see
especially
it.
the
We see it
tournament
in
streamers.
like in all the forums with all the people discussing, like in tilt forums. I think there's like how to stream threads, and everyone's gonna be
Hmm.
active and like
No,
answering
Colin, I
questions.
went to that
Yeah.
and I said, I'm having issues with my ZV-1s.
Yeah.
I don't even know who did it, but he said, give me an hour. And he went and he took pictures of every screenshot of every camera,
Oh wow.
right? And he said, these are the settings for your play field. These are the settings for
Okay.
your score. These are the settings for your player
Yeah.
on the ZV-1s. I've had no issues since. I don't even know who it is. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Yeah. No,
It's just,
I love that spirit. I know we'll kind of get into that later, but
yeah.
that's awesome.
So anyway, let's talk about the articles that you
Yeah.
still
So like
resonate with you.
it's for me with the articles, like of course I'm happy when I put out some work that I'm proud of, that I think is interesting, that reach an audience. But like overall with the project, I think I get like way more satisfaction from building things that people use and engage with, and in kind of uh, supporting others to kind of help them reach their goals, or put something out in the world that maybe they wouldn't have otherwise done. Right. So it's like I don't really step back a lot and look at like an individual article and say like, oh that was a banger. That was great. Right.
Okay.
But like when I step back and look at Kineticist as a whole and sort of the entirety of the output that we've done so far and sort of what we're building, yeah, I get that feeling in spades, right?
Yeah.
But like if I had to answer that question with something solid, like I love all of the tutorials that we do. Like if I thought that we could just be sustained on tutorial articles alone, like I just do that because I think it's awesome, but we need more stuff. I love a completely fabricated interview that we did with Flippy, the Pinball Expo mascot,
Okay.
which was just like really just sort of like a creative writing exercise where we sort of imagined, if Flippy was a real person and we did an interview with him, what would it look like?
That's funny.
We did like a scene by scene breakdown of the Rajas or Rajas arcade scene from the Last of Us TV show adaptation, which was a lot of fun. I love the article that we did with Darkroom Pinball about how to take better pinball photos. And we got crazy good response. It was a lot of fun putting together a more classic listicle style post of 10 pinball machines even weirder than you.
I need to read that again.
Yeah, it was fun. It's just like I like stuff that is kind of lighthearted and goofy, but still has some substance to it.
I was going to ask you if there's any articles that you risk that you could revisit.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, like sort of all of them, right?
yeah.
In some way, because like I'm always sort of learning and trying to get better. So the work that I'm doing today is hopefully a lot better from the work I was doing 2 or 3 years ago, right? But at a certain point, um, it's more important to just sort of get work out the door and publish and in the wild, than it is to sit and make sure it's 100% perfect,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So would also say, I think a lot of creatives do. I struggle going back and revisiting some of my creative work once it's out there, because inside I'm always like, oh man, that was just like total garbage.
Yeah.
So cringe. Let's just move on and try something new. So it's hard.
I I'll tell you a funny story. I'm not going to tell you the podcast, but I did a podcast in the beginning and I didn't like it.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're only this is 22, I think. And I call up John Spates, and John knows that I'm bananas. And I'm like, it's the worst podcast. It's terrible. I was terrible. I was just terrible. I'm just gonna scrape it. And he's like, you're
Yep.
not gonna scrape. You're not gonna scrap it. You're not gonna scrap it. You spent an hour with on talking to this person.
Yep.
And so I had to give it like the Abe Lincoln. Do you know the Abe Lincoln story? Like when
I don't think so.
Abe Lincoln would write a letter to a general if he was pissed off, but he would
Yep.
put it in his drawer.
Yep.
And when he died, they found, and if he woke up the next day and he still felt that way, he'd mail it.
Mm, smart.
So the next day he would, when he died, they found all these letters of that he never sent in
Okay.
his drawer to generals or to, secretaries or to whoever that he was
Yeah.
pissed off at the time. And so I just went back and I rewatched it a day later and I was like, okay, you're
Yeah.
being too hard on yourself.
Yeah. It's your it's the old school drafts folder, right?
Yeah, it is. It is.
So
You
you don't
use
have
it
to
to
publish
look.
it all, but like, yeah, I mean, uh people have some grace with this stuff, right? So I think a lot of people see the intention and the effort, right?
Mhm.
Even the execution isn't always 100%, and are appreciative of that. So yeah, sometimes it's better just to put it out there and try to build on it.
And constructive criticism is good.
Yep. Oh yeah.
I love constructive
Yep.
criticism. And
100%.
you'll see if you watch us, I'll go on almost everything. I say, "How's my sound?"
Yep.
And I'll keep asking, "How's it sound? How's it sound? How's the game
Yeah,
audio?
yeah. I
How's
think I've
this?"
noticed that. Yeah.
Because I want to know.
Yep.
Because I want to make it good for them. I'm putting on a show for them. I'm
Yep.
trying. Well, all I am is the keeper of the show. Just
Right.
the producer. It's the players. So,
Yeah. No,
um,
I'm a big believer in feedback and constructive feedback. I in the past have said that I think I thrive on it, but
yeah.
it just has to be delivered in the right way.
Yeah, so let's talk about that a little
Yeah,
bit. I think that's a good segue. That's a
sure.
good
Yeah, yeah.
segue. Let's talk. I do not want to talk at length about the bologna and cheese that you went through. Okay,
That's
because you
a
went
good
through
way to put
BS.
it. Yeah. Bologna and cheese.
Well, I've got a grandson now, so I'm trying not to swear around the kid.
Yeah.
But did you ever just say "F this"? I just wanted to spread pinball. I don't need this crap.
Yeah, I think I definitely went through that phase. The whole I would say that whole experience without diving into the
Yeah,
details
sure.
definitely
Yeah.
did like it did a number on me, right? And I thought pretty long and hard about whether the sort of effort was worth it, and if I should really be kind of moving on to other things, right? I would say it's really the whole experience is just sort of the kind of polar opposite of what I think I'm trying to do. How I try to treat people personally, and kind of the type of energy that I want to put out into the world.
Yeah. Look, I have this joke I was going to say to you, but I'm going to do it anyway. I was going to say,
Yeah.
will you ever organize a happy hour or a party or a mixer ever again?
Yeah, no, I think I would. Not right now, right? It's not a priority right now. I think that I do enjoy a lot actually, organizing things and bringing people together. I think that the media mixer for Expo, right? I think people had a really good time at that event, made some really good memories and connections with people. Um, but it just takes one kind of jerk to kind of ruin it all for everyone. So
Yeah. Well,
it'll happen again at some point. Just probably not anytime soon.
I obviously I'm joking, right?
Yeah,
Okay, but let's end that part of the conversation with this. Okay, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So,
100%. Learn that the hard way.
can we switch to pinball?
Yes.
You have
100%.
bought, repaired, and sold a ton of different pins. Can you name a few projects that you might have worked on?
Yeah, I mean, a ton is probably an overstatement
Okay.
compared to some people in the hobby, right?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I would say honestly the weakest part of my pinball game was my kind of repair and restoration skills. That's just not really kind of how my
Yeah.
brain works. But like I've bought a bunch of kind of light projects over the years just to practice kind of the basic stuff, like rebuilding flippers or fixing and cleaning basic mechs. The first couple games I bought Williams Black Knight, the original, and a space shuttle.
Yeah, space shuttle's
I did a
great.
bunch of work on, right. There were definitely like players conditions machines. Um, I tried really, really hard to restore a Night Moves, the cocktail table, but eventually had to give up because the electronics were just sort of wonky and sort of beyond what I could do, unfortunately. And I've cycled through stuff like a Xenon, but I'd say I'm definitely at the point where I much prefer hiring more skilled people from our local pinball community to do the sort of big repairs on my games than trying to do it myself.
Well, yeah, we have to know our limitations, Colin.
Yeah.
We can't.
Well, it's like if I try to do it all myself, I have to go learn it, right? Do it, and then I'll never have the game to play, right? Because I just don't have that kind of time.
Yeah, I'm really lucky. We're really lucky at the Wormhole that we have Wednesday's Tech Night,
Yeah,
you
that's awesome.
know, and so we got Tech Night on Wednesday. We got a big board of grievances,
Nice.
and we're only open 3 days a month, but
Yeah.
we have a lot of the tournaments for 3 days a month, but we also have a lot of private events, so they just get
Right.
banged on.
Yep.
But we got great tech, so we're really, really, really lucky. Have you sold any machines that you want back in your room? You want back in your collection?
All of them.
I know,
No,
right?
I think once I move on from a game, I'm pretty ready to move on from it, right? I don't
Hmm.
think I have
It's
that
had its place,
kind of
right?
remorse. Yeah, yeah. Like
Yeah,
I've played it enough. I've like figured it out. I've spent time with it, and I'm just sort of like ready for something new. But like I guess if I had to choose one, it'd probably be the Batman 66. That's just a really fun game. But like yeah, if I didn't have to worry about a small New England basement and money, right?
sure.
I wouldn't sell or get rid of anything. I keep it all.
What's in your current collection right now?
So I have a Star Wars Premium that is on trade. Normally it would be a Deadpool Premium that I have there. World Cup Soccer Joker Poker, the EN version,
Okay,
which is actually the machine that kind of kicked it all off for me because my wife actually grew up with that machine in her basement, and we kind of took it on a few years ago when her dad decided he didn't want to like keep it around anymore.
cool.
So
I have.
that's
Oh, and you said, didn't I hear you have a labyrinth?
and a labyrinth, yep, which is out on location right now.
Okay, so labyrinth is special to us here in Houston
Oh yeah,
since Barrels is here,
yeah,
and uh, those guys did it behind our backs, uh, and we had no idea. I mean, some of my very closest friends in
yeah.
this community
It's
and in
impressive.
life
It's really
work for that
impressive.
company. They
To
worked
keep
there
that a secret for years in this community,
for
it's
years.
crazy. Yeah.
And they're sitting on the stream next to me. I interviewed Phil Grimaldi. He's doing rules
Okay.
for them, right? And
Yeah.
it's amazing what NDAs will do.
I know, right? You have a small legal agreement sort of keeping you honest, and yeah,
Yeah.
that'll
Anyway, but World Cup soccer that was my first pin.
Oh, nice. Okay. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's my only pin.
Okay. Yeah,
Um,
it's a great game.
yeah, I'm a huge soccer nut.
Yeah.
I played all through up to college. I coached Tim's kids.
Oh, nice. Okay.
That's one of the ways we met. We met before that, but I had to have Ethan on my team, and I coached the kids, and
Nice.
I was always Coach Jamie, and so I just love that game. And mine was really a private collector had it,
Yeah. Okay.
and it was in really good shape. And then we brought it to the Wormhole, and we LED'd it and LCD'd it, and
Nice.
we brought it to Space City Open. And real quick, Steve Bowden beat Germany on ball one.
Jeez. Of course he would. That's awesome.
Dude, ball one.
Yeah.
I got to.
I think he's good at that. I think I've seen him and kind of like blow that up consistently in
Yeah.
competition. In the
Because
past.
this one was really playing, unfortunately for everyone else, too easy for him because he could
Okay.
backflip the final draw shot. He could
Oh yeah.
backhand it.
Yeah. Then
So,
then it becomes too easy.
and then it's too easy for
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it makes sense. No, I mean, it's a really wonderful game. It's one of the ones that my wife and I took kind of a shine to when we were exploring the hobby early. Just because it's got such that sort of magical package to it between the art. It's sort of easy and fun to play. It's got the cool goalie neck. The call outs are a lot of fun. So it's sort of got that kind of whole package to it. And I hope to keep it a part of our collection for the foreseeable future because it's a great game to introduce casuals to. It's something that hopefully
Mhm.
my son could play easily when he gets a little bit older. So
When all
yeah,
else fails, shoot the goalie.
yeah, right.
Okay.
Just do that.
Shoot.
It's that alone is fun.
That alone is fun. And, striker will save those shots. And, oh, no,
Yeah,
striker's to the right. The goalie will save the
yeah,
shots.
yeah. And
It's
it
just a
triggers the call outs, and it's just
Yeah,
like it's so much fun.
it's just a fantastic game. So
Mhm.
so when did you start playing and organizing competitive pinball? When did you go into that realm?
Yeah, pretty shortly after I started getting into the hobby, right? So we had taken my wife's Joker poker right into our house, started playing that a bunch. Obviously, I had played pinball before, but not with any regularity. And then I sort of found a local brewery, right, that had a collection of pins that also happened to be a regular spot for our local league, the New England Pinball League.
Oh, cool. Nice shirt.
And so I started playing in that, sort of realized that there was a competitive scene at all, which was pretty interesting to me. So I started playing in a bunch of tournaments, and just sort of like I do, I kind of asked one of the organizers if he needed help with anything. And kind of the rest is
That's your
history,
fault.
right?
That's on
Yeah,
you.
it's like, well, I can do marketing, I can do content, I can organize things. Do you need help with any of this? And I just sort of started doing it and
Yeah.
more and more.
Where do you guys play?
So personally, yeah, we play all over. I love traveling to different locations. We have a lot of a lot of breweries and whatnot in the area that have kind of small collections. Also play a lot through League. It's just some private collectors houses in the area. So
Cool. I
there's
love
probably
when
not
they
like
open
one
those up.
consistent
Isn't
spot.
that just so lovely of them to open up their
Oh
homes
my God,
for
it's
us
it's
crazy
amazing.
people?
Yeah, they are saints, all of them who do
I
that.
know,
It's
dude. We
just
just
such,
had a huge one up in North Houston.
yeah,
Tom O'Neill, shout out to the O'Neill family. And just it's just a beautiful collection. Thank you for opening your home
yeah,
to us.
yeah. It's just like that's a big part of what makes our own like regional league work because we don't have in New England. I mean, if you were in New York, you
Yeah.
understand like space constraints of the area, so it's hard to have these big public locations, right?
Yeah.
So private collectors kind of fill in that gap locally for us, and fortunately, they're all super nice people and like sharing their passion for pinball with others, and sort of, yeah, open up their houses to the unwashed masses, right?
I know. That's really awesome. It's really awesome. Do you guys have a weekly league?
Yeah, so our main league is the New England Pinball League.
Okay.
We do 8-week season like 3 times a year.
Three
um
times.
yeah, with a giant finals at the end of
Oh,
each season. That's basically like a 200 300 person tournament, right?
Wow.
Yeah. And then between league seasons, a lot of the local spots will sort of have their like off season leagues for their regulars. So you can play in a league almost.
So Bowen plays up there, right? Bowen Kearns,
Yeah,
he plays.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think he is in the league. I think he was a founding member
Yeah.
of the league a long time ago. So yeah, he's
He's
very.
awesome.
Mhm.
And he's got me hooked watching his Deal or No Deal Island.
Okay,
Do you know
I've
he works
seen
on
it. I've
that?
seen it talk about it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I've not watched it yet.
It's pretty goofy.
Is it
But
okay?
yeah, but you can see the mathematician behind the scenes,
Yeah,
how cool that is. It's really,
yeah. No, he's brilliant.
yeah, he's super brilliant.
Yeah.
Do you have any big tournaments coming up?
No big tournaments. It's kind of tough with I've got a 9 month old at home
Yeah,
now, which limits my time for that kind of stuff. I'm
especially
definitely.
long days, you know.
Yeah, you know, to do it right, it's like you gotta block off at least 6 to 8 hours, if not
Yeah.
more, I feel like, which is hard. But I'm really jonesing to do one again. I just don't know when it's gonna happen.
It's super fun, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're
Yeah,
super
no,
fun.
it's great. It's great. You hang out, you get to play pinball all day. There's a competitive aspect to it, which is always fun. So
Yeah.
they're
You
awesome.
know, it's funny, you could see there's two types of people there, right? Those that
Yeah,
want to really try to win and get those
yeah,
whoppers, and those that just want to party and just have fun. And
yeah,
that's how ours are. And
yeah,
I'm like right in the middle trying
yeah,
to get those whoppers, but
yeah,
and I just see where the day takes me. If the
yeah,
day is looking like it's gonna be a more of a party day, then
yeah.
we'll go with it.
Yeah, no, I that's a good way to approach it, right? And just sort of see how it goes and kind of adapt to the situation.
Yeah, some of our players, like we got this kid Jack Revenue, Wesley, all these great players. They're gonna beat me 9 out of 10 times,
Yeah, right, exactly. So you have to find some other way, I think, to
right? I mean, I'm
get
not gonna
enjoyment from
beat
it.
Bowen Kearns
No,
on Labyrinth. I
no.
mean, we have a Labyrinth here. If Bowen comes in, he's gonna, come on.
Yeah.
So, before we leave, you anything you'd like to plug? Any cool articles coming up?
Yeah, I mean, we're releasing new stuff pretty much every week now. I mean, particularly with This Week in Pinball, it's a weekly newsletter, so we have updates every week. So check out kineticist.co, go to thisweekinpinball.com, sign up for the email newsletter. Always, as we discussed, happy to take in feedback or ideas. If you've got something cool, um, that we can help you talk about or sort of bring to life, definitely, reach out. Happy to talk about it.
That's awesome. We just had an article written about us on the Houstonia magazine,
Yeah, that was
and
awesome.
it was a good article.
It was.
You can check it out on their webpage, Houstonia Magazine. I don't know .com. Who the hell knows? You can Google that, guys and gals. But I don't want to rehash the article. But can I? I want to end at this piece. That
Yes.
at the end of the piece, the hoods were quoted as saying, we have one rule at the wormhole. Now, you've heard me say this. If you've heard me say this, tune out for a second, okay? But I think it's important to end this interview with this, okay? If that's cool.
Oh yeah.
Our one rule is don't be an asshole.
Mhm.
It really first started with people coming into the wormhole and disrespecting machines, banging, banging on glass. These are personal collections of Tim and John, and I for sure am not going to tolerate anyone disrespecting and
Right.
banging glass or shaking their machines. But it really grew into this don't disrespect the space and the community itself. So I'm going to give a quick shout out to the Space City Pinball founders
Nice.
and Phil Grimaldi, who just retired from it, Elizabeth Droney, Mark Gammons, Matt Quans, John Spates, and David Pollock. They really set this foundation to a safe pinball place community.
Yeah.
And they fought to really keep it that way, Colin. They really did. So I mean, not every pinball league is butterflies and rainbows, right? And so
No,
it's
it takes work to sort of set the tone and sort of demonstrate what's acceptable and what isn't, right?
yeah,
So that you have that sort of safe and welcoming space for everyone. So I think that's great. That's awesome.
so that's exactly what we're trying to create.
Yeah.
at the Wormhole is a safe place for all people to gather and spread our love of pinball. So we do
Yeah.
not tolerate bullying. We do
Yep.
not tolerate meanness. I know it sounds very, very kumbaya and very maybe a pinball cult, but we're pretty serious about it.
No, we have the same thing in New England, right? And I think if we didn't have that kind of community, it wouldn't still be sort of growing in such a vibrant place today. So I think it's pretty important.
It's wicked important to give
It is
you
wicked important. Yes, I
your
like your
Boston.
I like your use of words there.
That's for you. I wore my Yankee stuff today, and I'm not trying to
I should have
tease
decked
you.
out in my Red Sox stuff.
I wasn't trying to tease you. I forgot where you were from.
No, it's good. My wife's a Yankees fan, so it's fine.
Okay. Oh, good. Inner community, you know, bringing
Yeah,
the
exactly.
family together. What is
Yep.
your son going to be?
Hopefully a Red Sox fan.
Well, let him choose. You're in Connecticut, right? So it's
no, I'm like 20 minutes outside of Boston.
Oh,
so
okay.
he's probably gonna be a Red Sox fan.
He's going to be a Red Sox fan.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's all right.
Yeah.
We don't say 1918 or any of that crap anymore. It's over. So
No.
I used to love saying 1918 though.
Yeah. It was a fun rivalry for a while. I don't think it's there anymore, but
no, it's not. You know where I'm being in Houston?
Yeah.
Oh, they hammer me. I'm gonna go
across. Yeah, particularly since the move to the AL, right?
Yeah, and the ball they just kick our ass. You know, the Astros just get so I wear my Yankee hat here and they just hammer me.
Yeah.
They hammer me.
Yeah.
All right. So, well, like I'd love to invite you to the Wormhole one day, and
I would
also
love to come by
to the Houston Arcade Expo. Got to think about that one day.
Okay.
But our Wormhole East Museum is opening in 2026, and that is going to be
2026. Okay.
A 14,000 square foot building.
Wow.
With at least 125 pins, some of which that the world no one has seen.
Yeah, you've got some like super rare stuff, which is
I teased you with that. I teased you with that a couple of weeks ago. I was like, hey, check out where I am.
Yeah.
Look at
oh man, that I just want to like see it in person. Have to flip it,
right? For the ribbon cutting, you will come and there'll be no mixer. We'll just come to the ribbon cutting.
Sweet.
And it'll be totally awesome. So, you know, Colin, thank you for spreading pinball and growing our hobby. It's all we're trying to do, man.
Yeah.
And that's what this podcast is about. It's just I just want to sit down and interview people in our community and talk about why they got into it and what keeps them going. So thank you for coming on this podcast. Please visit Kineticist.co, Kineticist, Jamie.co, and thisweekinpinball.com, and sign up for the email. It's awesome, man. You get it. It's a really cool thing every Friday when that comes out. Yeah, it's free. We try to put some good content in there. So you don't try, you're doing it, man. Thank you, Colin, for taking the time to talk with me today. Yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. It was fun, man. Thanks so much, dude. All right. Thanks, Jamie. Absolutely. But I wanted to send a real quick also thank you for the enormous support that we have received from this community and everyone that has said yes to doing these interviews and has sat down with me for an hour or so, sometimes less, sometimes more. And just thank you so much. It means so much to all of us here at the Wormhole to walk around TPF and see people wearing our t-shirts that I don't know is touching. And it really resonates with us. And thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for all that you guys do to support us. And I love you. Thank you.